honk your horn if you can hear me. Can you hear me up here? On your radio? 90.9. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you, everybody, for coming. All of the voters out there and all the candidates. And we're going to go in order that's on the paper. This is not a question and answer session. The candidate will state their platform in 5 minutes. We got a timekeeper, I don't know where he's at. Head pastor.
We getting the hook at the Apollo, or we gonna do it on the thing?
Right. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, we're gonna call Mr. Hosea Cleveland. He's running for U.S. House District number 3. Give him a honk of a horn.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
To the pastor of this wonderful church and its membership, to all the dignitaries who showed up this afternoon. I'm dragging just a little bit, but I drove down from Oconee County. And I want you to know that the sun was setting over Avalon the last time I stood in the West. But I'm glad to be here today, and I'm here on two folds. I get a second bite at the apple. I was just here not long ago, and I had a young lady walk up to me. And she says to me, I understand that you have some relatives over in Toccoa, Georgia. And I said, maybe so. My grandmother was from Toccoa, Georgia, but she was born in somewhere between 19 and 1905. And I remember her very well because she was part of my upbringing. And she says, why are you so far down here in Abbeville if you're from Oconee? And I thought maybe today I would tell you that from Oconee County all the way down to Edgefield, there are 9 counties in the 3rd Congressional District. And this is where victory starts. And this is where we actually elect a Democrat for the first time since Butler did it. Now, I'm not one for history, but I do know my own. My grandmother was born somewhere around 1905. Her daddy, Abraham Cleveland, was born in 1877. And his grandfather before him, Henry Cleveland, was born in 1810. And we lived up there in them hills for a long time. And in between those 2 generations was Abraham's mother, because Henry was allowed, he was the first enslaved African after the Revolutionary War. And he was allowed to keep 3 of his children, 2 sons and a daughter. And she had Abraham before she was married to Fraser, Mr. Fraser. So here I am, some generations later, witnessing all the things that are happening in our United States of America. And since that time, we've been waiting on that more perfect union, a time when everyone enjoys the same freedom, where there is no big eyes and little eyes. And we should all try to welcome in this new time. So I want to ask Abbeville County, let's first learn to love our neighbor. And when we have any disagreements, let's learn to turn the other cheek. Because we're already experiencing voter suppression. Let us not suppress ourselves any deeper. Now, there are about 24,000 citizens in Abbeville, and a great percentage of that, somewhere around 35%, are African American. So there is no reason that this should not be the place where victory starts. Because you see, at this time in history, as I was taught by my grandmother, right is right, and wrong has never righted anybody. And right now, at this point in our history, our current administration is just not the right one. And at this time in our history, Senator Lindsey Graham is not the right senator to preside over South Carolina. And it's at this time in our history that Congressman Jeff Duncan is not the right person to preside over the 3rd Congressional District. We need to, first of all, address the most crucial point of what's going on in America today, and that is to resolve the pandemic that has us all in this unusual state of living. And then once we're able to do that, we can then assure America that we can provide health insurance, which is a right, not a privilege, for everybody. And senior citizens should not have to worry about losing that which they have earned. Social Security and Medicare. And everyone who wants to work should be able to work at a living wage that allows them to move into the middle class. Folks, this isn't hard. We just have to have the will to do it. And every candidate who's running on whatever ticket should be able to prove that they are the right person for this time in our history. We should be able to feel free that when we go out of our homes, that we are going to be treated under law, justly and equally. It's not a hard thing to do. This is what the forefathers promised us. So let us keep in mind that from this day forward, let us live for that more perfect union. Thank you all so very much.
All right, we'll have a hunk of a horn. If you need any campaign material, we have some over here to my left. Also, we have voter registration forms. You need one. We'll also have voter registration drives throughout the city tomorrow. But if you need anything, just come up to the table after everything is over with. Now we'll have Senator Floyd Nicholson. Honk of a horn.
Good evening. First, I want to thank my dear friend Brenda Anderson for having this forum this evening and Relay for Life for Cancer, because we know that is a very important issue in all of our lives, combating cancer. So Brenda, thank you for having the forum and Relay for Life this evening. As you said, I'm Senator Floyd Nicholson. I serve District 10, which is part of Greenwood, part of Abbeville, part of McCormick, and part of Saluda counties. I've served for the past 12 years, and I first want to say thank you for your support in the past. Thank you. I've enjoyed serving as your senator. And I don't consider myself a politician. I call myself a public servant. My whole life has been about serving the public, doing whatever I can to enhance the quality of life for people in District 10 and people in our state. You know, I'm a lifelong resident of Greenwood, grew up in Greenwood, went off school, came back, worked at Greenwood High for 6 years, then worked with disability and special needs 10 years, then went back into education, did 14 years. So my whole platform, main concern is about education, because education affects everything. The better educated society you have, less problems you have in our society. Because first of all, if you got a good educated society, you can get a good job. A good job will mean benefits. Benefits. You will have health care. And that's something that's so important. You know, so that's why I'm such an advocate for education, because it's important. And I'm a firm believer it shouldn't determine what type of education you get by where you live. I believe that if you live in a rural community, you don't have the tax base to support it. I think it's incumbent upon the state to put the money into that district to make sure that every kid gets the best possible education. Because when they become an adult, they're going to be competing for jobs with people not only in the state, not only in the United States, but people throughout the entire world, because it's a global issue now. So it's important that we give our young people the best possible education. And I commend you here in Abbeville. You're doing a great job. I know we were all saddened last year in the loss of your superintendent, Betty Hall, a dear advocate for all kids in education. It was a dear loss, but I tell you, you have people continuing her legacy and providing the best possible education for all of our kids. You know, I got to see your coach, Coach Jamie Nichols. He cost me some money last year because I made reservations for him to eat again, and they didn't make it, so he got to reimburse me my money, you know, because they've been down there 3 or 4 years in a row. So, but you have a great athletic program, and most of all, a great academic program here in Abbeville. So, you know, when you think about education, I feel good. Last year, we were able to pass free tech for everyone. You know, they can go to tech free, and that's something that's so important, because it doesn't take a 4-year education for you to get a good job. You can go to tech, take up a good trade, and get a good job. I remember a few years ago when we first started talking about mechatronics. I said, wow, what is mechatronics? It's a combination of mechanical and electrical engineering skills that you have to work in these plants with the high-tech machinery. I went up to BMW and I talked to a young man. He said he went to tech, took the associate program, and he got a job making a 6-figure salary. So we got free tech. We have the Odell Center for Manufacturing just opened up where these people can learn their good job. So all of that, healthcare, everything, that's what I'm working for, improve the quality of life for people in Abbeville, Greenwood, Saluda, McCormick, and the entire state. So again, I ask for your support, that you re-elect Floyd Nicholson for the next 4 years as your senator. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Yeah, Sister Dorothy Rivers is responsible for the Relay for Life.
Oh,
We'd like to thank her, yeah. We'd like to thank her for her endeavor. Our next speaker will be Billy Garrett.
Thank you, Abbeville. I'd like to thank all of you, and I'd like to thank Miss Brenda Anderson for putting on this old-timey stump. I'd like to thank the good Lord and seek His guidance and counsel in my message to you this evening. I would like to thank my esteemed friend and colleague, Senator Nicholson, but I'd also like to thank Floyd for his decades of service to our community. I did not run for the office of the Senate to tear anybody down or anything down. It's my intent to build up without tearing anyone down or anything down. I truly believe we have more in common with each other than we have against one another. Even in politics, for instance, this COVID-19, this disease is our common enemy, and we must all work together to fight and ultimately defeat it. It affects us all. It affects us all equally. If I'm elected as your senator, I will be a senator for everyone, not just those who vote for me, but for every citizen of the great Abbeville, Greenwood, Saluda, and McCormick district. For those of you who don't know me, I came from the poor side of town. My parents were poor. They worked in the mills in the Anderson and Greenwood counties. They were wonderful parents. They were God-fearing, hard-working like many of you. As a young boy, I shined shoes at the barbershop over in Pelzer. I delivered newspapers. I cut grass to help with our family income. There were 4 children, so that was 6 of us all together. We moved to Greenwood County when I was 12 years old. We couldn't afford our own house, so we rented a home in the Augusta Field subdivision in South Greenwood. Some of you may know where that is. At age 13, I began working full-time in the grocery stores, bagging groceries. First at Guy Butler's Red and White, and then eventually at the Piggly Wiggly, where I attended Greenwood High School. After graduating from Greenwood High School, I went to Lander University with dreams to own my own Piggly Wiggly store. With my grades, I was advised that I should pursue a career in the law. Funny, I didn't even know a lawyer. Where we came from, there weren't many lawyers around. With our background, my family wasn't a member of the Greenwood County Country Club either. So we didn't get to have those benefits that some have. Anyway, I graduated from the University of South Carolina School of Law, and I chose to come home to serve my community as an attorney. For 38 years, I have fought for justice in all cases, including the death penalty cases right here in Abbeville. Some of you may know the Edward Lee Elmore saga, the case for Edward Lee Elmore. I represented him, and we were ultimately able to get him brought back home after many years. Why am I running? I believe it's time for conservative change. Abbeville has critical needs that need to be addressed, and I have a proven record that I can get things done. I want better pay for our teachers and safer schools. I want better roads and plans for an interstate, or at least a 4-lane highway that will make our economy viable again. Without jobs, we can't go anywhere. We definitely need a 4-lane highway on Highway 28 to Anderson. We need cellular and internet service that we can make our communities competitive. Our students need internet connections so they can get their studies. I'm told that our students are having to go either to the school or have a bus come out to have a hotspot. Ladies and gentlemen, this is 2020. That's ridiculous. Why do our children have to come? Why don't we have sufficient internet service for our children? I support the increased access to health care for rural communities. We need urgent care, virtual doctor's appointments, especially for our seniors who need medical care but do not need to be exposed to the virus. I fully support our law enforcement, first responders, and our veterans. I believe in term limits, the rule of law, the Constitution, and the Judeo-Christian principles that our nation was founded upon. Thank you.
Let's give him a hug of a horn. Now we're down to South Carolina House District number 7, Andrew Bejarano Robinson. Give her a hunk of a horn. Now, if I stand up beside you, that means your time is up. Yeah. Yeah.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me and hosting this event. My story begins as an immigrant. I come from Colombia, South America. I'm adopted. There are a lot of people from Colombia who were adopted, and there are a lot of us who became American citizens, but there was even more of us who did not, because our parents did not know at that point in 1984 that they had to go through the immigration process. We had to go through the immigration process just like everybody else. So I was fortunate to have parents who had researched international adoptions and knew that. So I also believe in $15 per hour wages. That should be a minimal living wage in South Carolina. When elected, I plan to either introduce or support a bill that increases the minimum wage statewide for $15 an hour, with a cost of living yearly review, just like we do with Social Security and Social Security disability recipients. Fully funding education from a state level is very important for me, because as a as an immigrant to this country, English is my second language, and I had a very difficult time transitioning from speaking Spanish to speaking only English. The English language, as many of you know, has very similar words that mean different things in different contexts. And that, to me, is a very difficult concept to grasp, even now. And so, I grew up with an IEP, which is an individual education plan, for those of you who do not know what that is. I've had wonderful teachers that have instilled in me that I can and will do what I need to do to rise above my circumstance. I also believe in fully funding education from a state level. I think we can do this. We have something called a lottery, education lottery. Only 24% of that right now, as far as my understanding, is used to go back into the classroom. That to me is unthinkable as to why is that the percentage. We need to raise that percentage. And that's what I plan on doing when I go into office. Everyone, especially our children, deserve safe drinking water. I live in Honea Pass, and I can tell you that I've gotten several letters and several retractions about our water. I am, I don't understand why we can't have clean water for our children. That's a human right, not a privilege. Human right for a fair wage. It's a human right to have education accessible to all. It doesn't matter if you have a physical disability or a non-physical disability. You can and will rise above your own diversity. I think that we need to have a House. If you look at the demographics of the House right now, we have more women in the state of South Carolina. However, the House does not represent that. We have a growing population of minorities. However, the House does not represent that. And I know that when I get into the House of Representatives, I represent all South Carolinians, especially House District 7. And we are a very diverse House district, and we need somebody who's going to listen to everybody, regardless of what side of the aisle you're at. I can work with colleagues across the aisle to make this happen. And I will have weekly, monthly meetings with constituents, monthly meetings with mayors and city councils, and so that I know what's going on in every city. Because I represent Honea Pass, Belton, Iva, and part of Homeland Park and Anderson. And so it is very important to me that it doesn't matter if you're a city council person or a federal congressman. You're welcome at the table. Wherever I am at, everybody's welcome. And nobody should be turned away from their own representative because they don't meet the ideals of that representative. Thank you.
Now we'll have our Everett County Clerk of Court candidate, Ms. Shondell Boggs. Give her a round.
Good afternoon. I am Shondell Boggs, a lifelong citizen of Due West, of Due West, South Carolina, and I am excited to be running for Abbeville County Clerk of Court. This decision did not come without great consideration. However, my desire to make a difference, my passion for helping people in this county has made it an easy one. I have been working in the Clerk of Court office for 19 years. I am presently serving as the Deputy Clerk of Court and General Session Clerk. In this position, I am responsible for filing, entering, indexing, and housing the criminal records. Once the case is disposed of, I enter in the disposition and transmit this information down to the court administration. I collect court costs, fines, assessments. I balance our accounts. I reconcile our accounts. I do our month-end financial reports and submit the checks to our county director and treasurer in a timely manner. With my experience, I have an outstanding, unique importance of how the clerk's position is supposed to be ran. And with my experience, with my leadership, I can provide courteous and effective services that the citizens of the Abbeville County deserve. I will look for more efficient methods of operating the office. I will make sure that my staff is cross-trained and motivated to provide outstanding services. But most of all, I pledge to work hard for the citizens of the Abbeville County, to work hard enough to respect them, have dignity, to be professional, and to be an accountable and effective leader. I solicit your vote to be the next Abbeville County Clerk of Court. Thank you for your support.
Now we're down to County Council District Number 3. We have Mr. Charles Goodwin.
If you allow me, I'd like to say good evening to all of you. But first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Brenda Anderson and her committee, as well as Ms. Dorothy Rivers, and for putting on this Meet the Candidate forum here at Abbeville Church of Christ. I don't think I need no introduction. I've been here all my life and whatnot, but again, as I say, I'm just grateful for being part of this forum today. I've been living in Abbeville all my life. I went to public school here in Abbeville County. I graduated from J.S. Wright High School, the last class there in 1970. And for some reason, the only thing that I've been doing all of my life is a servant unto the people. Somebody asked me one day, said, "Charles, why are you running?" I said, "Because I don't know nothing else to do but serve the people that I love here in Abbeville County." So that's the reason why I'm running, because I love the people of Abbeville County and I care about their prosperity and all here in Abbeville County. As I said, I'm a candidate for re-election for District 3. Not only that, as I said, I've been a public servant all my life. I was with the Sheriff Department for 24 years. I was with the Police Department for 15 years. And I've been serving on council for 3.5 years. So that's why I said what I said. I don't know how to do nothing else but that. Now, if you look back from the time that I got out of school in 1970 to 2020, that's 50 years. I've been out of school 50 years. And I've been serving just about that length of time, 50 years, here in Abbeville County. Let me say that this past year, we was able, in this district right here, as well, I'm going to give you statistics on what we have done throughout the county, but in this district right here, we was able to get 2 roads accepted into the county road system, and those roads have been improved greatly, and we look forward to doing more on that road. You didn't hear me say I said we did this and whatnot. And not only that, we was just, for the last 3.5, 4 years, we have not had to take out an tax anticipation note. In other words, borrowing money to start the year off to run the county. We have built up a balance there, a fund balance of for about 6 months that we can operate without borrowed money and whatnot, but taxes usually roll in, because we know tax notice going out now. January 1st, they start coming in and start paying. So we used to have to borrow money July, August to try to take us through to the next year again, but we don't no longer have to do that. But over about 38 and a half years that I've been part of this progress in Abbeville County, we this time we rolled back taxes. We rolled back taxes. We had some debts that came off. So when the debts came off, we didn't go get back into the more debt. We rolled those taxes back, a little over 3 meals and whatnot. But we're looking forward to continue to serve the people of this county. Not as I said, it's to continue to serve all the people. And we've been able to bring in industry. Since we've been in, we brought 3 industries in. And not only that, we got 2 more in the net. So we hope we can draw that net up and bring those people into the county to generate more revenue. With all that being said, you know, we're going through an epidemic crisis, and whatnot, but yet and still, we're trying to stay afloat and trying to stay above water and to serve all of you the best, because the most important assets that we have in the county of Abbeville is the employees as well as the citizens. And it's our job to try to do the best thing for the citizens as well as the employees to keep them safe from this coronavirus. Again, I thank you. I solicit and ask all of you for your vote on November the 3rd, 2020 for District 3 of Abbeville County Council. Again, we thank you.
Next we have Mr. Nicole Matthews. You're gonna honk of a horn for Nicole.
Good evening, and thank you so much for allowing us to meet all of you via distance. My name is Nicole Matthews, and I am running for Abbeville County Council District 3. You guys, I love Abbeville. I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. Abbeville is a small county, but I think it's a big deal. Our area is rich with natural beauty, chock full of Southern hospitality, and a vibrant history to influence our future. I've been in and out of Abbeville County since 2013, when my family and I started Natty's on Trinity Street. In 2015, we purchased the Belmont Inn, and we recently sold it. So this county and this town is very near and dear to my heart. I'm running for county council because I believe it's my job as a millennial to take a seat at the table and assume responsibility for the future of our county, because our county deserves a fresh look on issues that impact our area. I think I'm a good fit for this role because I'm a millennial. I think that qualifies me to take a seat at this table. If we're going to look for a future in Abbeville, it needs to be with fresh eyes. And as a single mom of 2, I understand what Abbeville needs to compete in today's market. I love Abbeville, but there's just a few things that I would like to see us improve on. The basis of my campaign is transparency, innovation, and honor. Our residents deserve straightforward communication, and while our county website provides meeting agendas, it's not easy to find. You have to hunt to find it, and our council can use social media platforms to offer transparency to our residents. The next thing I would like to focus on is communication, because transparency isn't possible without communication. And in our modern day, we have too many free tools to use to communicate with our residents that are not being utilized. We have live services from social media platforms. We have Zoom and texting apps that are resources our council can use to connect to our residents. Sanitation. This is not a sexy subject, but it is important. When travelers visit our area, they often provide 2 remarks, and I've spent 7 years working in hospitality, so I've heard what our out-of-towners have said, what our travelers worldwide have said. And this is the response I often hear. The natural area is beautiful, but there are always comments regarding litter. And I would like to see our council acquire bids from sanitation companies to provide county-wide waste removal from our residents. It is a hassle to haul your trash from your house to the county dump or landfill, or to find a dumpster to discard your household trash. If we're going to compete in a housing boom, and we are in one, and we're going to recruit from industry, and we're going to tax our residents, we need to provide essentials such as waste removal for our residents. If we provide what future residents need, we won't have to beg them to come because we'll already provide what they need. 2 more things, I'm going to keep this short. Tourism. Abbeville is so pretty. It's so cute, it's so charming, it's so hospitable. It's too good not to show off. I would like to see our county work more closely with the State Tourism Board to drive more visitors to the area because Abbeville has a lot to offer. We have museums, we have a historical square, we have national forests and national parks within driving distance. There's no reason why we're not working with the Tourism Board to gain more annual visitors. And finally, film and television. Abbeville has what production companies need. We have space, we have affordable resources, and we have privacy. An additional way to increase tourism dollars is to recruit production companies to move their production efforts to Abbeville. The distance from Abbeville to Atlanta is just a 2.5 hour drive. There's no reason why the sets of these films are not done in Abbeville County. Abbeville deserves to be on display, and I think this is one of the ways we can use to revitalize our area. I've been going door to door to meet the neighbors in my district. And on my first day of door knocking, I met a neighbor, and he said, our history isn't paying our bills. And it's true. Our history is incredible, but it's not paying our bills. Our history is supposed to inform our future, not hold us back. You can find all of this information on my website. If you go to NicoleTenhouse.com/elections, you can find all of my platforms and reach out to me there. Thank you guys.
Now we're down to the mayor's race. I call Santana Freeman. Give a honk of a horn.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank this church family for inviting me to this candidates forum as I run for re-election to the office of mayor of the city of Abbeville. I continue to remain humble with this opportunity and know all of the shoulders that I continue to stand on as I serve. Let's look at the facts. My roots and heart have always remained in Abbeville. Of course, I have been away to college, military training, even served in a deployment. My parents were textile workers, and my father finished his career as a corrections officer. The Freeman name was not associated with Abbeville's legacy. I have been successful over many things, but come from humble beginnings. The Freeman name is now a part of Abbeville's legacy and cannot be erased from the history books. I am someone who grew up and still resides on Blue Hill. My neighborhood holds credit, to its credit, those who have served in the military and various wars, several PhDs, Clemson University, USC, South Carolina State, Duke, Erskine, and University of Georgia graduates. We also have those who have committed murder, sold drugs, and did time in McCormick, Trenton, Broad River, or CCI correctional institutions. In 2016, I decided to run for mayor. I had 16 years as a council member and also served as mayor pro tem. There are no questions on my qualifications and accomplishments. My professional career has been all about service. I currently have over 20 years of experience in 2 of 3 service careers. 23 years with Head Start, currently 26, will be 27 years in the Army, and I will have 20 years of city council experience on November 7th with 4 as mayor. I have made achievements in every career that I have pursued, and this includes starting as a private and currently holding the rank of a field grade officer as major, and recently selected by the Department of the Army for its promotion to lieutenant colonel. There is no question on my ability to lead and numerous years of management and leadership experience. Usually candidates make a lot of promises. My promise is that I will continue to make the best decisions that I can make with the situations and events that occur during my term as mayor. It is my goal that city government is balanced with a reflection of the community and that works fairly for all. No plan survives contact. I could not have planned for losing 50% of my city council when I got elected. I could not have planned for not having a city manager on day one. I could not have planned for turnover for the majority of my major department leads, with the exception of the fire chief, water and water supervisor. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't miss a beat. You know, we knew that we would have to deal with, who knew that we would have to deal with the pandemic and racial tensions? It comes down to leadership. I have my fingers on the pulse of the city heartbeat daily. My city manager and I talk 5 days, sometimes 6 and 7 days a week. If you do your research, you will find that the city has made great strides under my term. This includes $5.4 million in various grant funding and improvements. This includes water and sewer upgrades, public safety equipment, recreation, and to include bathrooms at Chestnut and Wilson Hill and other improvements. We have completed projects that have lasted over 15 years with the Lake Succession Bridge project. Ladies and gentlemen, as I continue to ask for your support, keep in mind that being mayor does not come with an M on your chest or a cape. It comes with a huge responsibility to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state of South Carolina. You make an oath to God, and you'll be held to a higher standard at all times. And I know that I will be accountable on that day when I meet my maker for what I did as mayor. And one of the main things and my basic responsibilities is to raise my sons so that they can be respectable young men, and also make sure that I continue to take care of my wife. Before I close, ladies and gentlemen, I visited the College Football Hall of Fame in February, and they have simulators where you can be a quarterback. And I can tell you right now, if you look on Sunday, everybody will have something to say about the quarterback. It's not easy, ladies and gentlemen, and the same thing goes for being mayor. I do realize that my time is up. I had something, if you would, ladies and gentlemen, just remember that whole armor of God. If you look at Ephesians 6, 11 through 18, that's what I put on when I serve as mayor. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker will be Joshua Bolton. Give him a hunk of a horn.
Good evening. I would like to say thank you to Ms. Brenda Anderson for inviting me here today. I appreciate the opportunity to introduce myself to the voters through this public forum. I am Josh Baltman, and I am running to be your next mayor. I am running to make a difference in the quality of life for current and future generations who choose to call Abbeville their home. Abbeville is my lifelong home, and I am proud to have been raised here. As a father to a 5-year-old little girl, we all know it takes a village to raise a child, and our community consistently demonstrates that we support one another and want to create a better future for our children. The mayor and city council set the tone and direction for that future. I would like to take this opportunity to share with you a little about my background, my experience, and the most important issue I see facing our community. I have an associate's degree in industrial electronics from Piedmont Technical College. I am a licensed master electrician. I also have a bachelor's degree in business administration from Lander University. I currently work for our family-owned business here in Abbeville. Back in 2012, I saw a need from my neighbors and community for them to be heard by City Council, and I wanted to give them a voice. I believe that being an elected official is not about pushing personal agendas or beliefs. But it is about representing the people who trust in you to have their best interest at heart. Residents of the 7th District put their trust in me by electing me to serve as their representative on City Council. My time on City Council saw some firsts for the city. We held the first joint City-County Council meeting ever in 2015. That meeting was used as a bridge. That meeting was used to bridge the communication gap between ongoing and future projects, to see where we may be able to work together to better serve our community and to improve working relationships with the county. We also developed the first ever strategic business plan for the city, which provided long-range objectives and directions to guide the city for the next 10 years. Through my experience on City Council, I learned how our form of government actually works. Completing my municipal association certification has taught me how to become a more effective leader and equipped me with the tools necessary to be your next mayor. I continue to share in your frustrations and concerns in regards to the dilemma that you all face daily as the result of brown water. As your next mayor, I would like to accomplish developing and implementing a utility infrastructure master plan. That master plan would call for upgrades to the city's aging water and electric infrastructure to address the 82 miles of water lines, some of which are over 100 years old. 53 miles of sewer lines, which continue to impact the city because of needs for emergency repairs. My plan for the city would call for, at minimum, replacing 5% of the city's water lines a year for the next 20 years. My plan for the city would also call for continued modernization to the city's electric grid by continuing to convert our older substations over to the newer Vienna Street substation. This would allow our older substations that have operating equipment from the 1960s and 1970s to be taken offline, which would make way for more opportunities to develop the area behind the Opera House and throughout the city. This continued effort will make Abbeville's power grid more reliable and sufficient. To be successful as your next mayor, I need more than your vote. I need your voice. Leading by committee is no longer acceptable. The issues that face our community are not impossible to solve. If we work together, your strength as a community will pave a path forward for generations to come. I look forward to your support, not just on November the 3rd, but every day as your next mayor. Thank you.
Now I call Mr. Eric Delgado. We have a honk of a horn, please.
Good evening. Thank you, Brenda and the Abbeville Church of Christ for this forum. I'm happy to be here. My name is Eric Delgado, and I'm a candidate for mayor. My platform is transparency, accountability, and community empowerment. My achievements include the Bronze Star Medal for Combat. I have a master's degree in business from Leonard University, and I was a leadership professor at Auburn, Clemson, and West Virginia. Currently, I work for Student Support Services as a veterans coordinator, and I take care of low-income students. All right, having the military background, we like to talk about our situation and what we're going to do about it. Our situation in Abbeville is this. We've had a population decline since 1990, 18%. That's about 6,000 people. We have an aging population. The median age is 47 years old, and 1/3 of the city's population is 60 years old or older. Our income per capita, it lags behind Greenwood by 20% and the state by 33%. and our poverty rate is at 22% compared to the statewide average of 16%. Also, we have a problem with our home values. They're 40% lower than the statewide median home value. People say Abbeville will never change. That's not true. What is true is that Abbeville can't change if people don't vote for change. All right, here's my platform. Let's make Abbeville, South Carolina, Main Street, USA. Let's increase the arts, culture, events, tourism, and guess what? Fun. We need to bring and sustain business. We need to work with the county and satellite towns for the same concerted effort and plan. Let Abbeville be known as Main Street, USA, a place where there are things to do for everyone, all ages, all backgrounds, all residents, and for our tourists. Everything will be an opportunity for full-time jobs, for home ownership, for education, for part-time jobs for high school and college students, whether they use that experience and stay in Abbeville, or whether they use that experience as a springboard out of Abbeville to live and be successful elsewhere. Thank you.
Now we have Mr. Trey Edwards, Uncle Harvey.
First thing I'd like to say for everyone who's here listening on the radio or at home listening, this is also a food drive, and the relay, reach into your cabinets, bring some canned goods out and support what's going on here today. It's not just a forum for the candidacy or the mayoral race or whatever anybody's running for. Thank you all for coming out this evening. I'm really excited to be with all you here at Abbeville Church of Christ for today's forum. Thank you, Brenda. It's an honor and a joy to be surrounded by so many people who care so passionately about our city. Today, I'm excited to share with everyone to become the next mayor of Abbeville, of our great town. When I think back 4 years to when I ran for mayor, I did not win the election, but I understand why now. I didn't have the experience needed. So I then chose to run for council of District 3 and was elected. I felt compelled to run because of listening to everyone's concern on how much change was needed throughout our communities. I am a 49-year-old man, proven passionate about our community, and I'm running for mayor because I have a clear vision of how we can move forward as a city. That's what I would expect from a politician, and it's what you can expect from me. We need to start focusing on the basics, and we need to make sure we get them right. My platform focuses on 3 fundamentals of building a strong community, which is jobs, taxes, and infrastructure. First of all, jobs. Our city throughout the years has experienced painful transition by losing some of our manufacturing-based economy. And while good jobs still exist in that field, we're open to new industry. So we, as a community, must recognize that our future employment growth will come from small and medium-sized businesses in emerging sectors. We're uniquely positioned to capitalize on this new economy, but we need leadership that understands this new economy. Our city is an attractive destination for investment, as we already know, but we need to focus on establishing Abbeville as a regional economic center. We need to leverage our educated workforce, our natural environment. When it comes to jobs, we must expect more. The second piece is taxes and how our money gets spent at City Hall. Yes, some municipal taxes have increased, but more county taxes have been imposed on the city residents than municipal. And we all know we pay both in the city. But here's what really matters. What do we have to show for it? Of course, tax revenue is crucial for important projects and programs, and debt can be a useful tool. But again, I ask, what do we have to show for it? If you're asked to pay more, if you're asked to pay more, it is reasonable for you to expect more. When it comes to how we spend our money, we must expect more. This brings me to my third priority, infrastructure. As already stated here tonight, a lot of our city infrastructure is aging. We are overdue on upgrading some of our most essential assets like our stormwater, fixing our roads, and making our streets safer. And part of the reason that I put this in here on my platform is the majority of everything that happens in Abbeville is concentrated on the center, the square and everything. And a lot of our communities, roads, Gip Edwards, Raymond Road, these are areas that are getting neglected, that needs a whole lot more attention. If we make the whole community appealing, then all of it's appealing. The longer we delay these upgrades, the more expensive it's going to cost. We could begin immediately on building better roads and creating safer residential streets for families, particularly if we stop trying to fight an ongoing expense of concentrating again on the square in Abbeville. When it comes to infrastructure, we must expect more. This is how we get it done. Jobs, taxes, infrastructure. We start with basics, we get them right, and we get them right not because of any one individual, has all the right answers, but because we recognize the collective wisdom of you, the people who call Abbeville your home, working towards a common goal. Thank y'all.
Next we have Mr. Jim Grant. Give him a hunk of a horn of applause.
I'm just old Southern boys. I'm gonna say hi, y'all. Thank you, Brady, for inviting this, doing this forum. I think it's a great thing to see all these people come out. I appreciate y'all being here. I figured Brenda saved the best for last. Okay, I'm second to last. Bootie's last. The good thing is that's second to last. The bad thing is all these guys here have already said everything I want to say, so I'm not going to repeat it. But I'm going to tell you why I'm on City Council. 35 years with Highway Patrol was a great career. I'm glad I retired. I tried being a judge, but you know what? A true police officer don't need to be a judge. I was fortunate enough to be elected 4 years ago to City Council. I was fortunate enough to go through the same trials and tribulations that Mayor Freeman went through. With a big change, we had to jump up there and do a lot of work. I made a point to never be late, and I haven't. I've been to every city council meeting for the last 4 years. I did something else though, and no other council member would do it. I've been to every county council meeting. You can ask Mr. Goodwin. I've been there, every one of them. I missed 2. For some reason, county council put their meeting on the same night we had ours, so I missed that one. And the second time I was in Columbia in training. And speaking of training, everyone needs education. That's important. I was fortunate enough to graduate from the Municipal Association's basic governmental class certifications and advanced classes in this 4-year period. I've only got one more class that I can take, and I'm taking it in October. Before the election, so I can say, I did it. My platform is very simple. If you go on the Abbeville website, you can see my telephone number on there. I don't know why the rest of them won't do it, but I promised some people when I ran, I will answer my phone call anytime you call me. If it don't, it's because I'm in the shower or I'm cutting grass, and I don't answer those points. So I answer my phone call, I respond to your complaints. I've responded to hundreds of complaints, not just in my little district up on North Main Street, but throughout the entire city and the county. I can't do certain things by law. I have to refer them to certain people, but I will take your complaint, move it to the proper place if I can't do it myself. If you call me, there's a tree down in the middle of the road, I'm going to move it myself because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what I think I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to do it. I spend your money wisely. When something comes up on council, I believe it's a waste of money, I'm going to vote against it every time because it's a waste of your money. Not mine, well, it is some of mine, but it's a waste of money. Sometimes we got to do that. Our infrastructure, I can proudly say that our city manager and the city council have seen a big change coming to McGowan Street, to Perry Street, and the water situation. That's already been approved. Right now, they're currently working on wastewater treatment plant. That's required by DHEC. DHEC says we got to do that, so we're spending that money where it has to be spent. As for everything else, I will continue to answer my phone, and whatever you have a problem with, I will help you with that problem. But you got to call me to tell me that something's wrong or something's right. And that's what my platform is all about, is being there for you, spending your money wisely, and making proper decisions to help Abbeville grow. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, we're down to the last speaker. Say the best for last. Y'all know Butcher, don't you? Well, he's running for School Board Trustee District 2. I put 3 on the paper. It's School Board District number 2.
Good evening, Abbeville. How are you? I want to thank Miss Brenda for having this, and I want to let y'all know that I don't take this for granted, for speaking behind these great men. And I want to introduce myself. My name is Joe Bryson, and I'm running for School Board District 2. And somebody asked me, said, why are you running? Because you usually be the one behind the background of everybody else getting elected. And so I sat there and I thought about why I'm running. And every day I sit between 100 and 150 kids. And I sat there and watched them, and I sat there and hear their conversations. And I said, those kids need a voice. And I said, Lord, I will be that voice for our kids in Abbeville County. And I said, thank you, I will answer the call. And another thing that I want to be a big advocate for is, we say, no child left behind. Why can't we do no parents left behind? And the reason why I said that, because one day I walked into